And Dusty is here with us now. Dusty, Krissy has put out not one, but two specials in 18 months?
I've seen
on
them.
Netflix.
Congratulations.
Is it about 18 months?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
That is a good clip. Or do you intend to now follow it up with a third one in less than 18 months?
I'm ready to go. I don't know, I don't really know how fast you should or shouldn't put these out. But, I felt good about Wet Heat, and I was like, some of these jokes I'm tired of telling, and I'd like to get them recorded so they don't, you get tired of telling something, you push it out of the set.
Yeah.
And if it's not recorded, then it just kind of goes into this abyss.
It's in the ether.
Where you forget how to tell it, and then it's just gone. So I was like, we got to record it. But I really liked it. I was very happy with Wet Heat. I think Wet Heat's better than Working Man. And in between, Working Man and my last album, Son of a Ditch, was, 8 years.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't take that long, I don't think, if you're on a flow.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, and it leads to my next question is like, you're in the zone, right? There's this kind of like propagating creativity that's just you're feeling, and I like what you said, that if a joke goes out into the ether, you forget how to tell it. So, and that probably has to do with being in the zone too. This is my material. I'm in the zone. I know how to read the audience. I know how to get them to react. I know when to pause and all that other stuff. It's just like natural to you. And you're going through kind of this like creativity. You're going through a growth spurt, if you will, Dusty. You're growing. You're a growing boy.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. And it's like, the more you create stuff, the more you want to create stuff, the more you feel the flow, the more you're in with it. I mean, I have a new hour now since putting out Wet Heat. I mean, I got right to work. And, in Atlanta, I did an hour and 20 minutes of all stuff that's not on the special. And I thought it was really good. I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good gauge of when it's not good.
Right.
I don't like to do not good stuff.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I don't like some comics do it, and I realize you have to do it sometimes, but they'll go, I'm on tour, and this tour is the working on jokes tour or whatever, or the new jokes tour. I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that. So, I had about an hour and a half of material when I recorded Wet Heat. So then you record an hour, then I have I have a half hour that I like. And then, as I go along, I'm doing the half hour that I didn't record. I'm doing, a half hour of new stuff.
Sure.
And then I'm doing about 20 minutes of stuff that's on the special.
Yeah.
So that way we're getting all good jokes, but I can pepper in the new stuff. And you do that while it takes time for the special to come out. So by the time the special's out, you should be done with all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And at a good enough place to where you can still work on some jokes without your whole act being read from a notebook.
Yeah. And go ahead, Krissy.
Well, I'm curious kind of just how do you come up with your material? Do you sit down and really dedicate some time to work on it, or do the things kind of simmer and bubble up throughout your everyday living and you write them down?
Yeah, I think it just simmers up and bubbles up throughout every day, because when I sit down to write, now this could be an excuse that I've created for myself because I'm lazy.
Procrastinators unite, yeah.
But I do believe that when I sit down and I write not the way that I tell jokes. I have a different, so I write and it's funny to me. And then I go tell what I wrote, and then it's not funny to the audience.
Yeah.
And then I've almost cemented it in my mind because I wrote it down. So now I'm like, no, this is the funny way.
Yes.
Even though the audience is not laughing at it.
Yeah.
But if I just have an idea and I take it to the stage, mess around with it a little bit, if it doesn't work, we wave, we say we're having a good time, and you move on,
Yeah.
And then the audience laughs because they're in on it and everything's fun. But but then that way I get to work. You get to go through those natural instincts of just being a funny person in life.
Yeah, it's a living and breathing thing, and in that moment, it stretches and it contracts or whatever it is. You can think of it like, like I don't know, like a ball of jelly. You're playing with it to find out. I wrote it. I know it's funny. I just have to figure out how it's funny in this moment, and connects, and then the connective tissue to the last joke or the next joke or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it feels like it. I don't know if I lost you, but you froze on me, but I think maybe I'm still there.
Oh,
Okay,
you're still here.
yeah,
Yeah, we
you're
can
with
still
us.
hear you.
But like a joke starts, it's a ton of words, very long, and then you're just telling it and you're trying to find those funny parts. You're like, okay, where am I getting laughs? And then where you start to get a little bit of a structure of the laughter, and then you take away all that other stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then once you got that firm little skeleton of a joke, then you can start adding all these other tags.
Right.
I love
Which
this.
is why so many of my jokes, I say I like to tell triangle jokes. I'm just making fun of myself, but where I like the laugh, we go up, 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 then we hit a funny part, and then I'm still telling the joke, even though it's getting less funny and less funny, because I found it. I'm like, this is it.
Yep.
This is the punchline. But then I want to add on all these tags
Yeah.
to where we eventually get to a place where we're like, are we still telling this joke?
Are we still here? That's really interesting. I love hearing. I think comedy in some ways is a noble profession. I really do, and I love hearing how some of the we've had a lot of comedians on here. Some of the best joke writers and storytellers of our time, comedically. How they do their craft, how they work in their craft, how they see their craft is very obvious to me that, you may be lazy, your words, not mine, but you're very much a tactician. You're a technician of the joke, right? You're thinking about it and you understand after all these years how to put it together and how to do it. I think you have an advantage too, and tell me if I'm wrong. You sit in a room often with a bunch of other really funny people bantering about, and you're all very on Nateland, and you're all very funny. Just kind of, this like comedic stew that's going on
riffing off
all
each
the
other.
time. Do you
Yeah.
find that? I'm sure you do. Does you find that helps when you're
Yeah,
just
I
the
think so.
energy,
I mean,
like just the
yeah,
energy,
yeah.
the energy in the room?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, you want to hang out with funny people, right? They say if you want to learn another language, you go to that country
That's
and
it.
immerse yourself in that. So I think hanging out with funny people, being on showcases, being in the green room, going on, the road with other comics, you're always talking about stuff. You're always trying to make each other laugh. So you're keeping those muscles going. But I think for me, I mean, I love to talk about doing an hour and 20 minutes because when I started doing comedy, like when I started headlining, it's kind of like the mandatory amount of time you have to do is 45 minutes. And so when I started headlining, I was like, oh man, 45 minutes, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Sure is.
But I quickly realized that I wanted to get to do an hour because the show is 90 minutes. So the more I can do on the show, the less the other comics are doing. And I only mean that because you may get paired up with someone that's very funny and you don't want to give them too much of the show.
No, you don't.
You got to come at the end.
Yeah.
So you're like, so I wanted to do an hour. And now that I'm doing theaters, I do the hour 20. Part of that is so I have plenty of time to do some jokes that might not be as funny, that I weave in between funnier jokes just so I can, keep building my material.
That's it. So you had the Atlanta show this last weekend. You were at Symphony Hall. Beautiful place, by the way. Beautiful place to go see a show. I don't know. I think there are a number of comics who have done Symphony Hall. I've never seen comedy
Nurse Blake
there.
was.
Nurse Blake was there. How was it? Did you feel that was the energy good in Atlanta? Did we represent?
I've been coming to Atlanta for years.
Of course.
So Atlanta's always great for me. I mean, really, Atlanta doing the Laughing Skull Festival. Now it's my third time doing it, but that's where I really had a break. And people from JFL, people from The Tonight Show were all at Laughing Skull when I got, that's where I started to get things in 2017.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that. So Laughing Skull Comedy Festival, and you've got some people in the audience, some movers and shakers, people who could give you a spotlight, essentially.
I had already done Laughing Skull twice, and back when it was a competition.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. I was there a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I had some good sets, but I never won. I never got far in the contest at all. So then I took a year off. I didn't try for it in 2016. And then 2017, I came back. But this time, I was just happy with my career. I was happy with how things were going for the most part. So I didn't put this weird pressure on myself to like impress people. I was just like, I'm just going to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I come to Atlanta all the time. I do the punchline. I'm doing the Laughing Skull. It's like, these are people I make laugh all the time. There's really no pressure here.
Yeah.
And then that's when I had a really great set.
You found
in
it.
front of the industry. So yeah, Atlanta has always been good for me. But just to the Symphony Hall question, I love classical music, and I think it's just amazing music.
Mm-hmm.
So to do comedy where I know that music is happening feels a little wild. Just to know that they're putting out like the most beautiful music in the world, and then here I am telling jokes.
Yeah.
But I am happy to do it.
Why are you a symphony? Why are you a music of or a fan of classical music, symphonic music?
Not to be cliche about it, but I do think I like all music.
Yeah.
But classical is it's just nice music to have on. I like cello classical music specifically.
Interesting.
Because it's the most relaxing music in the world.
There is no doubt about that.
My wife says it's depressing. I like some organ music too, and my brother-in-law said it sounds like we're at a funeral. But I just find it really relaxing, and sometimes I'll take long road trips where I just listen to classical, or I'll sit around my hotel with a Bluetooth speaker and just listen to classical. And I feel like it just relaxes me.
Yeah.
And I think it helps me be creative. I think we're all doing podcasts. I do 2 podcasts a week most of the time, sometimes more. Everybody, we're all talking, and we're also all taking it in. And I feel like we take in so much. And sometimes we're like, I don't feel like we're processing it.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
That stuff's always just going in.
Yeah.
It feels like it.
Listening to some classical, I feel like just helps me process things. And
I like that.
Me too.
Did someone turn you on to that? Was that something that was in the house when you were young? Did you just like hear it one day and you're like, oh, that's good. I like whatever that is making me feel good.
Well, I grew up in Alabama, and I grew up in a trailer park. And I think at some point I just wanted to feel like I was classing it up a bit.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel like I was better than everyone, even though I don't want to feel like that now, but I feel like at the time I did.
Sure.
So I just started listening to this music, and then I was like, oh, this is really great.
Yeah.
And, I'll go through periods where I don't listen to it for a long time, or I'll go through a little jazz period.
Yeah.
I like jazz too.
Me too.
Not as relaxing, but it does, like jazz piano. And I don't like, sometimes you go to New Orleans and they got that real walking out on the street with the drum. I'm not as into that marching band jazz, but I like, maybe nightclub jazz.
Yeah, nightclub jazz is good. I agree with you. Like some jazz can be a little chaotic and disjointed for my taste, but in general, I'm a fan of jazz. My dad used to listen to Beethoven and Bach and Mozart when we were kids. He would listen to that and he liked it, and that turned me on to it. And so for me, it's comforting. It is a bit of escapism. It's very beautiful to think that some of those people wrote that music. Blind, one eye, deaf. They're writing these complicated orchestral pieces, symphonies with hundreds of instruments and people singing, and they did that without the benefit of auto-tune or editing software is just a feat of immense godlike creativity. It's crazy to me. It's crazy.
It is crazy, and I would never be able to prove this sort of thing, but they say that, there's frequencies, right? And they say a lot of our music today is the wrong frequency and very low, and it's like dumbing us down. And but whereas classical is a different frequency
Right.
that, helps our brain. I saw this video on TikTok, probably not true, but they were saying that Beethoven's Fifth Symphony helps people with cancer. They were saying it helps kill cancer cells. Again, probably not true, and I'm not saying it.
But might be true for someone. We just don't know.
If I have a pain in my body, I put on a little Fifth Symphony, and I go, no, I'm going to listen to the whole thing because
Can't hurt.
I'm curing myself here.
Yeah, I knew a guy who went to Georgia Tech, and he was studying very complicated physics in some way, shape, or form. And somehow he went to go get his doctorate, and he was doing some thesis in that education where him and a couple of other students were trying to prove that there was a key of life. There was a note, a frequency of life, that connected all things throughout the universe. It was a very interesting, I am not smart enough to repeat what he said as many years ago, but that turned me on to the idea that, music is frequency, and you can listen to stuff that obviously gives you a boost in mood, just like if you go see a comedy show or, your favorite movie or whatever it is. And then there's things that just don't seem to jive the same way. And I do think the music today, not all of it, but some of it feels, I don't know, not like some of the music that I've heard before, like older music. But that's not a knock on younger folks. That's just, they are, we're in this world that we're in, and they're reflecting that back to us.
Yeah, I mean, because I used to listen to Limp Bizkit, when I was in high school, and I still love Limp Bizkit, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, you can listen to Limp Bizkit and suddenly you're like angry and resentful.
Yes.
And I'm like, you're like, why am I
angry and resentful?
Yeah, I'm like,
and
I'm like, you just listen to some classical, you just relax for a second and chill out a bit.
Have you met Limp Bizkit in your travels? Have you been to one of the?
I wish that I could, though. I mean, I was into it. I mean, the first 3 albums at least. I know that the third one, the chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water or whatever that's called. That one was a jam to me at the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't hold up as well.
Yeah.
But the first 2, still unbelievable.
I am fascinated, always been fascinated, will continue to be fascinated by the relationship between Fred Durst and Corey Feldman. It's if you follow those two on the internet, it's a weird, wild relationship. Corey Feldman, wannabe musician, Fred Durst, actual musician, but they support each other. They seem like brothers that kind of, like a bromance, so to speak, but they're the funniest odd couple I've ever seen in my entire life. And Limp Bizkit's still out there touring just this last year and absolutely killing it. You mentioned being in a trailer park. You went from trailer park, and then I read that you were the youngest comedian to be on stage at the Grand Ole Opry. Is that true, or is that internet mythology?
Well, I don't have a way to know if that's true.
Okay.
I do know this. I do know it's not true now. At the time, I might have been the youngest comic to do the Opry. But then I know John Christ and Aaron Weber are both younger than me, and they've done it since then.
Oh, you know what? We had Aaron on, and I think we had this same stat for Aaron now that you're saying it out loud.
Aaron, I don't think Aaron did it, but maybe he did, because we had a running joke for a while. Someone made like a fake Wikipedia for me. And the Wikipedia bio was, I was once the youngest comic to ever do the Opry, and then that title was taken by Aaron Weber.
Oh, that's so funny.
Aaron, I think we talked to him about this. I can recall.
But I think and I don't know, but I think that I kind of ushered in a bit of a new era of comedy at the Opry. Now, for a long time, Henry Cho and Gary Mule Deer.
Okay.
They're both members of the Opry, and they were doing it for a long time. They were like, I don't know, maybe the only guys doing it for years and years.
Okay.
And then I think one of the directors saw me at Zany's, our club in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they liked what I did, and they invited me, to do the Opry. Or my manager made it happen. I got a new manager. And all of a sudden, the moment I signed with my new manager, I was doing the Opry.
Pay him
Nice.
double. Pay him double. Yeah.
But but I, after I did it, then there was kind of a new wave of comics from Zanies and stuff. And I don't mean that it was me necessarily, but I think that once I did it and it went well, I think the Opry was like, oh, this can work.
Right.
Yes.
Let's get more new, younger people in here.
You ushered in the opportunity to kind of turn a new leaf and say, hey, listen, this works here in a certain brand and a certain style and the right person, we can get them in here and they can do it. And that must be exciting.
Because it's possible if I'd gone out and just bombed that they would have been like,
back to Henry Jones.
Yeah, that was the test.
Yeah, Nashville is, we talked to Aaron about this. Nashville is like a hotbed of comedy.
Yeah.
And, I think if I might praise you, compliment you a little bit, I think it might have something to do with Nate and you. And even though I'm sure Aaron wouldn't admit this, it's like there are a lot of really good comics that are basing themselves in Nashville or out of Nashville. Do you feel that energy in the air when you're in Nashville?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I moved there in 2014, there was Zanies was there, and Zanies was really good, and we had Zanies has always been great, and we have it had a pretty good open mic scene, so I got involved in that, and then around about 2015, I started doing my show, which is a monthly showcase that I still do at Zanies. And, I started putting all these comics on, and then, when COVID hit, so I was doing, and then there were some other showcases too, but I've been doing my show for a really long time. And then when COVID hit, they started kind of doing other showcases. A lot of LA people, a lot of New York people moved to Nashville. Some left, but some are still there. So they started doing other kind of like sort of open mics. And now Nate has starting about last year, Nate started doing a weekly showcase.
Interesting.
Which is, I've always done, my show's always been relatively clean. I don't require people to be super clean, but just keep it within reason.
Yeah.
And then
keep it in some bounds of
Guardrails.
respect.
Because if you've been to open mics, it gets pretty wild.
Yes.
Seen
So
it,
I'm like,
been there. Yeah.
I think there's clean, and then there's, people think there's clean and then everything else in the world. I think there's a little space in between.
Yeah. I agree with you. And you go to some of those open mics, it becomes like the most X-rated slam poetry sometimes. And I think people sometimes are misguided in their idea of what might or might not be funny. I think some people do it for shock value. I think other people just talk that way. I think there is a third version that is very funny and they work blue, so to speak, right? And but you go to those open mics sometimes and it just gets a little out of control. But Krissy and I were talking about this before you came on, and we've had lots of clean, quote unquote, comics. Is that a choice that you make, or is it just, listen, I want to be accessible to the most amount of my fans as possible, and I'm not interested in shaking the tree in that manner? When you do a clean show, what is the reasoning behind that?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both of those things, where you say I do want to be accessible to more people. I want people. I want to do the kind of comedy. I don't want to do comedy for kids. I always say that. I don't recommend kids.
You're definitely not comedy for kids. Yeah, definitely not that.
But I want you to be able to bring your aunt or your mom or your dad to the show and you not be embarrassed that you brought them.
Yeah.
I'm not doing something where you're like, I wish my dad wasn't at this show. I wish my mom didn't know I was into this type of comedy.
Yes. Yes.
I have a friend there's a lot of dirty comedy that I do like. I have a friend, Jordan Jensen is her name, and she lived in Nashville for a while. She's back in New York, and she is very dirty, right?
Yeah.
But she's dirty in a way that it feels like that's just who she is.
It's authentic to her, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like it really doesn't feel that bad.
Yeah.
Right? But for me, if I'm saying what Jordan's saying, you would be like, oh, God, chill out,
Dusty,
guys.
settle down. Yeah.
So I'm just not naturally that dirty of a person, but I do like to say some things. I do like to talk about drugs. I do like to talk about this and that. But I try to, and if I am making, sex jokes, I try to do it in the cleanest possible way.
Yeah, you
where
hide
you know
it.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Yes.
but I'm not throwing it out there.
Right.
It's innuendo, and sometimes
Right.
innuendo is the harder joke to make. It's easy to say whatever, we can say it here on the show, but I want to make sure I keep it relatively clean so your audience likes it too. But you can say whatever, but if the innuendo or the look or the motion that you make on stage, sometimes that's in my opinion, the harder thing to do, and something that you do well.
And funnier.
And
sometimes.
funnier
Yeah.
sometimes. That's true.
Yeah, I think if you establish some sort of line, like where the audience kind of feels like you'll never cross this line, then you can kind of inch up to the line and it feels edgy.
Yeah.
Even if it's not really that edgy.
Yeah.
It feels it's like the the dirty guy in church or whatever. You're like, oh, he said the thing no one else will say. But it's not so far that it gets you kicked out.
That's right. I always thought this about like Andrew Dice Clay. Like when you start off with Hickory Dickory Dock, and anybody knows Andrew knows that, the rest of that. When you start off with Hickory Dickory Dock, where do you go from there in the set? It's like, it can't get any crazier than Hickory Dickory Dock, right? So I don't know, but again, that's a choice he made, and it worked for him, at least for a period of time. It worked for him very well.
Well, I agree with that. And like I saw a magician when I was in Vegas recently. Very good. Very good. I'm not even into magic. Very good. But, he kind of blows your mind with the first trick. And then the rest of the time he's doing tricks that are like, yeah, this is mind-blowing too, but you've already blown my mind.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, of course you can do this.
Yeah.
I just watched you do something. Of course you can do that.
That's like Pink Floyd or Roger Waters doing Comfortably Numb as the opener.
Yeah.
You're like, what the shit is going on here? Why did he start with Comfortably Numb? I'm not even high yet. Yeah.
They say Billy Ray Cyrus, when he came out with Achy Breaky Heart, every live show he would open and close with Achy Breaky
Just to
Heart.
do it.
Okay, ready? You remember this song from the pandemic, Despacito. Remember the Despacito song? And I think Justin Bieber did a version of it, and Usher did a version, with the guys singing Luis Fonsi in the back. Despacito. My wife's Venezuelan. We go to the Luis Fonsi show. I swear this is the absolute truth. He played Despacito 4 separate times during a 2.5-hour show. 4 separate times. And the crowd ate it up every time. It got crazier. The crowd got crazier and crazier. And the last one was like a 7.5-minute version. And I was like, oh my God, if I hear this fucking
Give
song
the people
one more
what
time.
they want.
That's almost like a callback for me, right? It's like you're like, you hype them up, and later on you do it again. You go, remember that?
It's good. The call, you always got to have the callback. We always try to end the show. I mean, this is a little technical on just about the inside baseball, but you try and end the show on a callback, right? What you started with, or something from the first segment, or whatever it is. All right, Krissy came up with a good game, and so we're gonna play a game with you. It's clean, I promise. We won't.
This is
we're
a
not
great set, by the way. I love this sign. This looks good.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah.
It feels good. You guys are on the same screen. It really feels like we're just in the room together.
I know.
Nice.
Well, since if we can't be here in person, and hopefully someday that'll happen, but if we can't be here in person, we wanted to cozy it up a little bit. We used to sit at a table. It just looked a little weird. We looked like we were at an office or something.
Yeah, it did.
And we were staring at people like this. It was.
This is more conversational.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, go, Krissy.
All right. This is we're having a good time rapid fire round.
Yes or no?
Yeah, just a yes or no. All right, get started here. So Waffle House at 2 a.m.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Oh,
Yes.
I have a side.
You're just looking for yes or no's?
Yep, just yes or no.
No, please. If you
I
have
said
something funny to
2
say, go
a.m.,
for it.
2 p.m. It makes no difference.
Exactly.
Anytime.
Anytime.
How many times in a week or a month will you visit a Waffle House?
Well, it depends on if I'm hanging out with my dad or not.
Yes.
My dad lives in Alabama. I live in Nashville. That's a 5-hour drive.
There's 300 Waffle Houses between
you. He stopped
you.
at Waffle House 2 times on the way out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'd eat there every day if I could. There is nothing like Waffle House to me. Okay, free motel breakfast, worth waking up for.
I'm gonna go no there. I
I'm with you.
I go down to the breakfast sometimes, and I just walk through.
I know.
No.
I know. I'm like, nah.
If there's not a large cup of highly caffeinated coffee at the end of the breakfast bar with cream in it and sugar, then I'm not going. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one is fishing just to get out of mowing the lawn. Yes or no?
Yeah, I'm gonna go no. I love mowing the lawn.
Okay.
I think mowing
Therapeutic.
the lawn is fun.
Yeah.
It is therapeutic with making the lines.
Yes,
and
you
going
make the
around
lines.
it.
You get away from the kids.
I like a riding more with no headphones, just listening to the engine. I love it.
Smelling the grass.
Yeah.
I like Dusty's version of escapism. He
Yeah, me
actually
too.
turns it all off. I wish for one freaking second I was able to do
Well,
that.
it is hard. That's why the lawnmower's great.
Yes, I agree with you.
I got some land in McMinnville, Tennessee, a little too hilly for a zero turn,
Yeah.
but I ride the zero turn out there. So you
Nice.
really got to be focused. You don't need distractions. It's really good. for
That's
that.
fun.
All right. I'll come help you one time. You show me how to relax, Doug.
Okay.
You can show me how to relax. Duct tape as a legitimate home repair.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with you on this. That's pretty
Absolutely.
straightforward. I think any man who has half ability to fix anything, like I'm a guy who can probably figure it out, but most likely to call the dude who knows how, duct tape is a good replacement.
Yeah.
I've been trying to feed crows. I've been trying to make friends with crows.
Oh, nice.
So I built a long thing to put up top for crows to get land on.
Yeah.
And I used PVC pipe, and I couldn't figure out how to connect to the base that I had. So I stuck a stick inside, put the pipe over, and then duct taped it, and then painted it. And it works great.
You got a perch,
Did
a
the
crow
crows
perch.
come?
They do come.
That's so fun.
Crows are
Yeah.
super smart animals.
They are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like one of the more intelligent birds, I think. I don't know if that's what I've
Yeah.
read.
All right. So eating boiled peanuts in the car.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love boiled peanuts
Me
in the car.
too. I love them
I
anytime,
I
anyway.
eat boiled peanuts anywhere, but I love them in the car.
Me too.
Okay, but hot or cold is the question, because I do not like them cold, but I love them hot.
I prefer hot. I
Yeah.
can do cold, but I do prefer hot.
I can
Yeah.
go either way. I love them both. I love them anytime.
The
I
problem
don't
is-
really like them out of a can.
No,
I've
no,
had
they've
that
got to be in
before.
the bag from the
Yeah,
side of the
yeah.
road
Yeah,
for
they do
sure.
have canned boiled peanuts.
I've
and
seen
I can
those.
do- I could do without that.
Yeah.
Or they give it to you in the styrofoam cup, which
Well,
to
the
me
styrofoam cup,
is the
yeah.
best, and it's not great for the earth. But at the end of the day, why I like that is because they stay warmer longer.
Oh,
You can
that's
dig down
true.
in the bottom and get a hot one, even 15 minutes after you've gotten them.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, saying y'all at a job interview or a proper setting. I say y'all everywhere.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I say yes to it, but you know what? I used to wait tables. I moved to Charleston. I waited tables. And I noticed myself one day saying y'all every 5 seconds. And I just started, I would go, how y'all doing today? Well,
Yeah.
just over and over again. And I thought, well, let me try to work some other things in.
Into the-
yes.
And
yes.
then I kind of don't say y'all very much anymore.
Okay.
And it kind of goes against everything I believe in, but I don't really say it because it feels, now I've gone a long time without saying it in a way that I feel like I'm some kind of phony if I try to say it
Right.
again.
I can see that.
That's interesting.
It is.
And with the accent, you would think y'all would come out every a couple of sentences, or that's just how you.
Yeah.
So here's a funny story, real quick. So I waited tables for a very long time, worked in the restaurant business, and I was waiting tables at a fine dining restaurant. I walk up to a table full of women, older ladies, older Southern ladies, and I say, "Hi, you guys." And
yeah.
all of them looked at each other,
yeah.
and the lady said, "Excuse me?" And I said, "I just said hi, you guys." And she said,
That's
there's
northern.
not a guy in the group." And I said, "Oh, it's just a thing that we Northerners say." Because I was born in Chicago. I said, "Oh, it's just a way that we express it." She goes, "It's y'all or hello, ladies." And I thought to myself, wow. And that was the first
Noted.
time that I think I used y'all in conversation. I'm 20-something years old. First time. And now I use it probably
All the
way
time.
too often. Now Dusty's
well,
got
you
me
know what?
reconsidering.
That's happened to me before too, where because I was trying to find other things. And
Sure.
you guys
Yeah.
was a thing, and I had women say that to me. That we're not guys, and I'm like, I was just kind of like, what?
Yeah, I understand that. I got it. 10-4.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't 2025 when I went up and said
Yeah.
this. I'll just let you know. It wasn't confusing then. And then I hate when people say you guyses.
No.
What are you
I
guys?
get it.
What are your
I get it
guyses
in a-
doing?
It doesn't sound weird, but I get it. Like if it were all guys and you went up and go, "What up, gals?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in that sense, it does make sense that they wouldn't like it, you know?
Fair enough.
That's true. Okay, wearing socks with sandals if nobody's looking.
I'm still going no. I'm going no whether they're looking or not. I'm not into it. I'm not saying I've never done it.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're wearing sandals, it's time to feel free. I mean, let the socks off.
Let the piggies breathe.
I'm a big fan of sandals, and I don't think I've ever worn socks with sandals. I've seen lots of people who do, and I don't understand why.
Like if I have socks on and I just have to run outside really quick with something.
Okay, that's one thing.
For something,
if you're doing a chore.
I can't get in the yard with my socks.
Yeah.
But that's the only time I do it.
Okay, fair enough.
Socks feel like the hot part of the whole shoe experience.
Yes.
I want to free my foot from all of that. I guess if you have nasty feet, free the foot. Now, if you've got athlete's foot or some gangrene or some shit
keep that
like
in
that.
closed.
Yeah, keep that in closed. Okay, wear your socks. Taking home shampoo bottles and or soap from the hotel.
Well, I'm not against it, and I've done it a lot. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a no. I don't think it's bad to do it, but I just think you can buy better shampoo.
You can do better.
You can
Just
definitely,
just treat yourself better than that.
Well, now let me ask you this: do you get to stay? And I'm sure it's a mixed bag, but do you get to stay when you go on tour at the fancier accommodations?
Well, here's a secret about when you get into theaters. You book your own hotels.
Yeah.
Unless you have somebody that you pay to book them.
Sure.
You
Right.
book your own hotels. And I am a real I get kind of cheap with hotels.
Okay.
Because I'm in and out.
Yeah,
I'm here for
right.
one day.
Exactly.
And I don't go, Motel 6 or Super 8.
But you're not at the Ritz.
I like a Marriott, a Hilton. I'm good with the Hilton Garden Inn.
Yeah.
But
Those garden inns are nice. Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, I mean, because sometimes, especially in a city, you go. Atlanta wasn't so bad, but they can be where you pull in and then you've already paid for the hotel. Now you're paying $50 to park.
Yes.
Or
The
somebody has to
parking.
park the car for you, and it's like I don't necessarily mind, but every time I want to get the car, now I got to go give somebody a slip.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And then if they hand them a $20 bill or they think you're a cheap ass and they're going to drive your car and get the fenders into the road. We went down.
I know,
It's so
right?
stupid. We went
You
down.
can't have you got to have a raggedy car,
Yes.
and then you don't have to tip. They don't expect it.
You tell Avis, can I get the worst car can I drive your car? Why don't
If
you
I
take
pull
my
up in
rent-a-car? Yeah.
If I pull up in a nice car, people think I stole it. And, I went to a meeting in LA, and I pulled up in a rental car. I got the cheap rental car.
Yeah.
And the guy pulled into the garage, and the guy goes, "Uber Eats?" I go, "No."
Oh my God, that's really
Meanwhile, we got to tell you a story. We have Ari Shafir on, right? You know Ari?
Yeah, I don't know him, but I know who he is.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ari and Nate are apparently friendly with each other, right? So Ari texts us before he comes on the show, and we very rarely have an actual, the comedian actually text our cell phones, and it's like, hey guys, can we push this 30 minutes? I'm having lunch with a friend. And we're like, yes. So he comes on and I said, how was lunch? And he goes, great. I was catching up with an old buddy. You might know him. His name is Nate Marcotti. And I was like, oh, of course, we know him. Where did you guys go to eat? He's like, oh, he got off he flew in on his private jet. So I went and met him at the airport for dinner or lunch. And I was like, geez, holy potatoes. Do you feel like your career is on a similar trajectory as Nate's, and does Nate push you to be better because he's been phenomenally successful and he's really good at what he does.
I mean, Nate's reached this incredible level, but I've always believed, up until where he's at right now, that Nate is just a couple of years ahead of me. It always, would seem like he would get something, and then a couple of years later, I would get that.
Yes.
I don't really have aspirations like that. I don't, I did the arena with him at Bridgestone where we were in the round and there was 18,000 people in there.
Amazing.
I mean, that show was fun, but I don't know. I'm not really into that. I mean, I would be into the money, sure.
Yeah.
But I think there is something to me about comedy being in a tighter spot. Now, I'm doing 2,000-seat theaters, but still those theaters, a lot of them are old or they're just built for that kind of acoustics.
Yes.
Right.
And I just really enjoy that. Something
a little more
would really
intimate.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
this is a trope with musicians and with comedians, with a lot of people who perform on stage, but big movie stars, they go back to the smaller event. They want to go back to the days when there
It's
was
more of a connection.
400 or 500 people in the audience. I mean, Rolling Stones have been on, they play clubs with 300 people, and Pearl Jam will warm up at a 200-seat theater in Washington, because I think that's where the magic happens, where you can see someone in the eyes, you can see them laughing, and it connects with what brought you there in the first place. It's that life force that comes through you. When you're at the Bridgestone Arena, I can imagine it's just got to be like a little bit overwhelming, sensory overload.
Yeah, and I also feel like the more money that people make, I don't know, sometimes I see people and I think they don't look very happy.
Yeah.
And they've made so much money, and I'm like, I just feel like there's something to, like, I've, worked for a long time. I'm 43, and I was, still working a full-time job up until 30, and so it's like, this has just been, and even then, I mean, I went to part-time for a few years. So I've been about a full-time comic for about 10 years. And I'm like, I'm very happy with what I'm making, and I still have a lot of time to hang with my family.
Nice.
And it's like, I like being able to mingle with the big time comics. I just went to LA, did like a charity show for the Dodgers, and a lot of those guys were in the audience, and then there were all these other comics on the show with me that I had opened before in the past, but now I'm kind of on an equal level with. And yeah, it feels good. I mean, I love that sort of stuff, but I really like the art of comedy. What I want is to be able to look back and have a bunch of albums that are really funny. I want people to be able to, when Wet Heat becomes an album, then I'll have 5 albums that I've put out, and I like all of them.
Yeah.
So I just want to be able to keep doing that, have albums that are good, and just tons of comedy that people can watch. And yeah, I want to make money too, but I don't want to lose touch.
Right.
I'm with you on that. I don't think there's any fear of that happening with us here, Krissy. But we have almost 1,000 episodes, and I was maybe fussing a little bit a couple of months back, and with our agent, and I was like, well, we redoing this and be doing. He's like, dude, you have almost 1,000 episodes. You've built an incredible thing over there. You should be damn proud of yourself, regardless if you get invited to this Hooby Doob or that function. It doesn't really matter. You've built it. You've done it. Some things that people will never do. And you have too. And
congratulations.
This will be the first and the last time today you're called Absolutely Delightful by Bryan Green.
Well, that's a thing though, right? It's like no matter where we get, we can always find something to go, oh, I didn't get invited. We can be mad about not getting invited to something that a year ago we would go, oh, well, I'll never be invited to that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then now we're like, well, yeah, I should be invited to that. Why am I not? And I get like that too. I mean, you can find yourself in that spot, and that's where you're like, you just put on a little classical music. And just chill out.
He did the callback. He did the callback. He got it. I knew you were going to work it in. Yay. Dusty Slay's brand new special is available. He's also out on tour. You're funny. You're a technician of comedy. We've now had 2 out of 3 of the Natelin's podcast gentlemen, guys here, and you're welcome back anytime. I hope we get to do this in person.
Yeah, we enjoyed
sometime.
this.
Well, thank you. I would love to come. I mean, I used to come to Atlanta all the time, but now that I am doing theaters, I mean, I don't get to come as much. I think 2021, I did the Punchline 3 times.
Yeah.
Because they were just, they were looking for people that could come from close
Fill a
by.
room.
Yeah. So I used to come to Atlanta. My wife used to do comedy, and she used to come to Atlanta all the time too. And I love it.
Well, next time you're in the area, or next time we're up in Nashville, let's connect. All of the links are in the show notes. Ladies and gentlemen, Dusty Slay.
Thank you,
so
Dusty.
much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. You too.